Welcome back. My name is Ashley, and this is the Black Sheep Christian Podcast. Today, I have a lovely conversation. We kind of started talking, but I have Bryon Easterling with us today. Welcome.
Thank you, Ashley. Great to be here. Great to have just an initial chat and catch up. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. I just want to let people know that if I have a chat before we get started, it's going to be good. So, this
Uh,
conversation,
I hope so.
the chat before the chat, yeah,
That's it. That's the best.
it's going to be a good chat.
We need to record the chats before the
Right?
chats, you know?
The chat before the chat. So I just want to let people know that you are an author and you are a podcast host of the Pop Up Cafe.
Yeah.
And your story is very beautiful.
Mm,
And I thank you for reaching out because your story is like most people's stories. And so here I'll read a little bit of what you have written, that you
okay.
grew up in a loving Christian family and accepted Christ at the age of 9. And you know, the majority of kids, I can't remember the number, but statistics show that the majority do accept Christ at an early age before 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So for you to be able to accept it, it's like, oh, yeah, same, accept
Absolutely.
Christ at such a young age. What at that time, what spoke to you, if you remember that time?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
What spoke to you?
My story really, it, my, uh, so I was about 8 years old. At that time, we lived in a small town in Missouri, mid Missouri, farm country, a little town called Mexico, Missouri. And we went to the Baptist church there. And that's awesome. No issues. But it's almost like at 8 years old, if you hadn't come to Christ, the ladies in the back started kind of looking at you funny, like maybe you needed help. And anyway, one day, one Sunday morning, my a good friend, close friend, went forward. Did the walk,
Yeah.
and I started to get up, and my dad grabs my pant leg and sets me back down. He leans over and says, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Well, I'm going up with Wayne." And he said, "No, I don't think so. Not yet."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now I'm the youngest of three, and so we would come home. We kind of, back then, back in that day, that was kind of early to mid 60s. And you would come home, have a big meal together. And my dad would always kind of go to my brother and my sister being older. And he'd say, "So what'd you get out of that? What'd you get? What'd you learn?" That kind of thing. And I'd sort of parrot whatever they would say as a kid, 8 years old. Well,
Yeah.
that year, my dad switched it up. And
Mm.
instead of my brother and sister, he would ask me. And
Mm.
I had to have an answer. So I started listening. And then he just started questioning me and really I say that my dad walked me into the kingdom of God.
Wow.
Yeah. So one day I was now 9 years old, not quite 10, February of 1965. And I could go back to that place and sit in the exact spot. You know,
Wow.
I think we all have, don't you think we all have that moment where we
Yeah.
just, and they were doing the altar call, what the just as I am. But this was actually an old hymn called the Old Rugged Cross. And it always struck me, "On a hill far away stood
Yeah.
an old rugged cross." And that song back in that day was so powerful to me. And I was just sitting there and I could feel I had to go. And my dad leans over and whispers in my ear and says, "You should go forward now."
Wow.
And I didn't walk, I ran. And I remember that day very specifically. So I give credit to my dad for really bringing me into the kingdom. Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing, isn't it?
That is amazing in many ways. As I'm digesting this story, um, for one thing, you didn't follow the crowd. Like it wasn't. It
Mm,
it almost feels today being Christian in America is kind of being used as a badge in a way,
mm,
you
mm.
know. So the fact that your father did what he did is very profound because
Yeah.
like what you said in the beginning, the ladies in the back were worried about you. Like, why is this dripping mud? But your father, I'm sure he noticed,
Mm,
but he didn't that didn't deter him.
yeah.
And another thing too, which I find is very profound, is he tried to make sure you were ready.
Hmm.
Not like ready, but ready. Because what is interesting about being a Christian is um, some of us learn, oh, we got to pick up the cross,
Mm,
the path is hard. These conversations are in sermons and everything, but we don't realize how hard
mm.
it is until we come upon that path. And so for your father to make sure that you knew what you were getting yourself into
Yeah.
is really beautiful.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. He there were a couple of moments in our lives. I can guarantee you our relationship wasn't perfect. uh, and we both had our issues. Uh, and having a home like that, I'm so honored and blessed. You'd think I'd be a lot smarter and a lot a lot wiser than I am, but
Oh, come on. S I mean,
but
some of
I
it is
have
very prime example.
but but I have to say I am very honored to have been in the family I am, and yeah. So it's interesting. I was just talking with a friend today who's on our board for our ministry,
Yeah.
and he and his wife have been doing a lot of traveling. My wife and I have traveled for years and years. We've traveled. I have over 3 million air miles just from travels around the world. And the point he was really bringing up is he had just been in Egypt and somewhere else. And he said, the expansion of my faith has grown to understand a bigger God
Hmm.
because I've gotten outside of America.
Mm.
Now, I don't mean that in a bad way. We have our piece to, they need us as much as we need them. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
And when you brought up that issue of our our mindsets get so closed in.
Yes, yes.
And the more you travel, the more, and you don't even have to travel anymore. Just go across the street and meet your neighbor who could be from anywhere. And at least where we are, and I'm assuming it's just that way everywhere in America. We
Yeah.
have so many cultures in our world, and that brings fresh revelation and understanding of how big God is,
Yeah.
and that not everybody sees Christianity the same way,
Yes, yes.
but they see Jesus the same way. Otherwise, they see Jesus as the foundation
Yeah.
for me. And I, it's not about. Anyway, I don't know why I got off on that, but
No, no, you're fine.
that's
No, you
yeah.
are perfectly fine. Let me, add to it. This is why I enjoy doing this podcast because it allows me to be able to connect people beyond my borders. Um, yes, just being outside of your borders allows you to see God and Jesus completely differently because it gives you the opportunity to see him through somebody else's eyes. And
Yeah.
it and as big as God and Jesus are, it's almost like as if you're seeing a completely different universe, or you're seeing a star differently, or on a different side that you've never seen before. And so to be able to, as for you, to be able to have that opportunity to travel, and for your friend to have the opportunity to travel, it allows it has allowed you to be able to pick yourself up from one place to another, and to be able to immerse yourself in a completely different culture that allows you to be able to see him differently and beautifully.
Yes, absolutely. Um, my wife and I and our daughter, at one point, it I was traveling a little bit. This is early on in my daughter's life, and it started, interesting enough, when we moved. Three very white people
Mm,
moved to the inner city, into a black culture,
yeah.
and I thought I had never faced. I thought I'm not racist. I don't have any racism in me. I don't have any. It's not racism. It was more just, again. It became. I was. It was unknown,
Yes, yes,
and all of
yes,
a sudden, I got to know a little bit of the black culture from their perspective, from
yes,
where we lived. Not every black culture. I'm just saying, and it began to open my mind and go. It wasn't racism. I was ignorant.
yeah,
And that took me to other nations going, I'm ignorant of this culture
yeah,
and how they see things and how they walk out life. And all of a sudden you come home from these trips and your whole worldview expands.
yeah,
And now God is all of a sudden that much bigger, that much better in a sense, that much more kind and loving.
yes,
You know, let's expand our universe in a sense of God. Let's expand our understanding. And cultures for me have really done
yeah.
that.
And
And
you
it's and just to say, and it started when God put us in that place of living as two white families in an all black neighborhood. And it was so funny. I remember people would come down to visit us and they'd go, white folks are over there. Because they knew, what are you going to do? There's two other white people that are coming into their neighborhood. But but it opened their minds
yeah.
because we all became friends. It was, uh, sorry, I keep
No,
going.
it's okay.
Uh,
No, you don't need to apologize. I mean,
okay,
that is what the vision that God has for us,
yeah.
especially Jesus when, I'm remembering the scene from Chosen
Mhm.
when, an earlier season when, they're all sitting at a table. It's not the Last Supper, but, they're sitting at a table, they're chit-chatting, and Jesus is like, "Yeah, this is what I'm imagining is this group together and this group together, and we're all
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be on the same table." And Peter's like, "What are you talking
Talking,
about? Like, this sounds crazy."
can't do that. Wow.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, what you did is the very thing that Jesus envisioned.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Good
yeah,
thought.
of everybody being together. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Thanks
Yeah.
for sharing that.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Sure.
sharing those pieces. Those are beautiful. So you and your dad really brings you up in the faith, and then for a moment, you said you drifted away for a period of time, and this happens to all of us.
Hopefully, hopefully, hopefully.
So what had you drifting away at sea or wandering around in the desert?
You know, yeah, Ashley, I think it's natural to discover your own faith, and that's
Mm,
all it really comes down to. So it's like it's you're you've been living off of your parents' faith.
Oh, yeah.
As a child, if you come to Christ earlier or live in a Christian home, you're living off of their faith, and all of a sudden you come to a realization. I call them the stupid 20s. It's usually late teens, early 20s, and you know, I needed to discover what I believed,
Yeah.
and in order to do that, you try things and you do things that by the grace of God, you're still alive. You know, I mean, I'm just glad I didn't. I'm not spending time in prison. You know,
Yeah.
I'm grateful. To be honest, yeah, because
That's a lot of us.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I became a street pharmacist, and
Oh,
yeah, yeah, and um, did some pretty bad things in my life that later I really recognized it still today. I, 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 I've grown much older and I understand God's love for me, but the heart of what I did to people
yeah. Yeah.
is disturbing, and how I allowed myself to enter that place. And by the grace of God, He brought me out of that. And, you know, so I think, but I think it's only natural. And the struggle is if somebody is all of a sudden they they're 40 years old and
Yeah.
they've never faced that,
Yeah.
it's it's detrimental to their life
Mhm.
because they've never honestly, and you see it in a lot of families where one of the family members, one of the parents or partners, whatever, are they're like they all of a sudden wake up.
Yeah.
I've been living off of my parents' faith and I was living off of this person's faith, and I don't even know what I believe.
Right.
And they lose it.
Yeah.
So
I
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead,
No, 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 go
please.
ahead. I
Well,
thought
I
you
was
were
just going to say, that's why I think that age, what is it? The young, young, young springen. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the Amish, and
Mm.
it's a year break to go out into the world.
Oh, yes, yes.
Is it young and springen
I
or
don't know what
something
it's
like?
called that, but I know
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
referring to. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, and it's I think they're going, hey, go figure it out. Go figure out what it's like out there. And we don't do that. We keep pressing with our Christianity. We don't catch it. Um, we don't catch it with our family members very well, I don't think. Uh, and, you know, our daughter went through it. She came to me one day and she says, you know, Dad, I still love God. I just need to find out what I believe about Him. I said, hey, yay,
Yeah,
you're a solid person. That's solidness to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful way of putting it,
Mm.
and I say that because, 'cause I have drifted myself, but when you drift and you come back, there's, like, shame in that,
Mm.
there's shame, and how
Yeah.
the way you describe it just removes not only the shame and acceptance, but, it's just part of the process, it's just part of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
process
I
that
always
we all go through.
I always picture him kind of standing on the street corner, just kind of leaning up against the wall, and you're just kind of going down the road you shouldn't be traveling, and he's just there
Yeah,
waiting.
yeah.
I had that imagery. Um, I was uh, partaking of
Mm.
some vegetation. uh,
You're wonderful with words, just wonderful. No wonder you're an author. You're wonderful with words.
Thank you. And I was probably college, you know, I was college age, and I was there just pretty much had enjoyed the day, partaking of a variety of, anyway. And I just all of a sudden, out of the blue, had this image of Christ,
Mm.
and he was sitting on this rock, just with a look of total, there was no shame.
Yeah.
It was total patience. And it was just this feeling of when you're ready.
Mm.
And that's, to me, the nation. If you look back in the Old Testament, to me, that's Israel.
Yeah.
It's like, come back. I just love it when you come back, you know? So, yeah, the no shame, that's a tough one.
Yeah. That
I,
is.
yeah. Now, did I have shame then? Probably. I probably felt shame when I came back to him early on.
Mm.
And the bigger your vision and bigger, right? The bigger your image of God gets,
Yeah.
the bigger your understanding,
Mm.
the deeper understanding of his love. And you realize he's never carried, there's no shame in him.
Yeah.
Think about it. There's literally no shame in him.
Yeah.
He cannot have shame.
Yeah. Man.
Wow. Anyway.
I
Uh
just have to make a comment. Your voice is so soothing.
uh,
I just feel like
oh, she's going to
it's
sleep
like
on me.
no, it's not that type of soothing. It's kind of like when you like no shame. It's just like, yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
like you like I just need to breathe it out. You know, those breathing
Yeah.
exercises that people do and just like let it go. Like, yeah, no
Wow.
shame. It's like that type of like assurance of a father, like, yeah,
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
okay. I just
Hmm.
wanted to let you know. I don't know if you've gotten that before, but that's just an observation.
Thank you.
Oh, so moving on.
Well, I didn't, I just want to make sure you weren't falling asleep.
No, no, no. I am not. I can't. I can't
I'm
fall
kidding.
asleep. First of all, it's hot in here.
Oh, is
So
it? Yeah.
there's no
Oh,
way.
is it like really, like it's gotten really hot on the East Coast, on the
It,
East?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
it'll be all right. We'll be
yeah.
cool. But I mean, I'm in an older building, so
Ah,
like after a certain time to save money, they turn off the air.
oh, that's not even right.
Right, right. So that's another
That's a whole.
that's a whole other thing. That's why I was like, let me open up this window. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's open. I had some bugs come in. I don't know if you like saw me move, but I killed an ant. And
Oh,
I don't know what this little guy is over here that I got with a sticky note.
I know.
Little, little dead
Yeah,
body.
he's been, he's been, he's been stuck.
He is stuck. That's it.
That's
That's
awesome.
all.
Cool.
Oh goodness. So you go to Guatemala and you are transformed. And I think we already
Wow.
talked about this. You traveling abroad and being, and that's how your faith was really renewed.
Yeah.
What in Guatemala really what in Guatemala just really was like, I got it. I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, that was the trip that really turned me back around again.
Mm.
That's the moment. I had actually left a town because my supplier was in one city, and I was in the middle of the state, and so I went to the other side of the state to a large city to get away from that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because I was concerned that I wanted out. I wasn't really walking with the Lord, but at that moment, but I knew God very much. Anyway, so I had to get away. And so I don't know how much of the story you want, but so I was a music student, and I I lived down by this. Well, it was in St. Louis, and I lived down by what's called Forest Park, which is a 1904 World's Fair was there. It's a beautiful park, has all kinds of things. Washington University is there, and I lived right by the park. And
Mm.
so I finished my semester and still just not walking with God at all. And whole nother story within that, but I won't go there. But anyway, I wanted to do a music program during the summer to make some extra cash. So I had students that I could work with, but I didn't have a place. So I
Mm.
walked into this church building I was a bit of a jerk, by the way. And I said, hey, you guys, there was like 2 cars at this gigantic building. And I was like, hey, you guys don't seem to be using this building much. uh, I'd like to rent one of your rooms. And the lady behind the desk says, well, let's talk to the pastor. And he takes me to this elderly gentleman. And the man says, sees a pack of cigarettes in my pocket. And, he says, tell me about what you're doing. I told him what the course was and what I needed it, how long I needed it for, all that kind of stuff. And then at one point he says, you can have a cigarette if you want.
Mm.
I said, what? In the church? And he goes, and he says to me, he goes, yeah, it never says anything in scriptures about smoking. And I said, huh? And he goes, no, it just says your body is a temple unto the Lord. And he left it at that. And then he says, come back next Tuesday and I'll have talked to the people and let's see. That was like on a Thursday, 4 or 5 days. I spent the entire time. We didn't have Google. We didn't have, I didn't have, I had to blow the dust off my Bible. I blew the dust off my Bible. And I spent those 5 days looking for that verse. Where's that verse? Well, in the process, I'm reading scripture again, just taking it. I'm going, wow, I never knew that. Wow, I never knew that. So I come back. I had all through college days, I painted houses. I had a painting company, and it was a great way to make money. And he says, this pastor, I go back, and he says, we can do that program. But he said, I take a busload of high school and college students down to Guatemala every summer. And he says, I need a crew director to paint a clinic. Would you be willing to go? And I said, and I'm an adventurer. So I was like, yeah. He says, we'll pay your rent. All you have to do is, make sure that, you're covered in your bills otherwise, but we'll pay your rent and all that. Wow, cool. So I get on a bus, having not walked with the Lord for 4 or 5 years, 4 years maybe, with, what was it, 32 other solid Jesus loving, this is 1979, Jesus loving college and high school students.
Yeah.
And I get on the bus and he sees my cigarette. He says, oh, you can't smoke on this trip. That was number one. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. It's a little twitchy, but I made it. and they prayed for me and loved on me and got down there. Now the story is that, I'm sorry it's so long, but we got down there and the first 2 nights we had the opportunity to go live with a family. So I said, I want to go to the furthest place in the mountains you can send me.
Wow.
And so they said, all right. So they sent this other kid with me who, I don't know why. I don't think he liked it. Because we had to live on a dirt floor, and these people were awesome. They were beautiful. And so we go way up into the mountains. And so I get there and we have a little lunch, and I have to use the bathroom. So I said, where could I go to use the bathroom? And they said, the baño is just over there. Well, I'm 6'4" at that time, and they're not. And so they had half walls with a roof.
Oh, okay.
So you're getting a picture. It faces the main road into town.
Oh,
So this white, really, really white face is just over the top of the hall, just like, and people are walking by, just, hi. How you doing?
wow.
And the next morning, I go into town and they're all laughing and inviting me in. And I just, it was like God's way of saying, welcome, welcome to this town,
Wow.
this little village, just a little village. Well, I went in, I got some bread and a cup of coffee, and I'm just sitting there, and I see this elderly woman with a back on her, a satchel on her back with some sticks and twigs. I thought, I call her Esperanza, which is hope. That's not her name, but I call her Esperanza. I finished my coffee and I watched her and I followed her from a distance. And I watched what she did. And she would go house to house and she would sell these sticks. She'd get a penny or two or three, four if she was, but she collected quite a bit. And then she headed back down to the poorest part of that town where the kids mostly were not clothed, distended stomachs from malnutrition. And she they ran up to her. That was mom to them, and she would hand them a few cents and they would run off. And I just thought, who is this woman?
Mm.
And I went back to the house where I was staying. And I said, who? And they said, Esperanza is a widow who lives further up into the hills. And she collects sticks every day, and she comes down and she sells them for whatever she can to get a meal. And I said, do you know that she cares for the kids? Oh, everybody knows that.
Mm.
It was the moment I realized the need that widows have. And something in me changed. It wasn't about just knowing Jesus. It was about the heart of the Father for widows, for orphans, and yeah, and that changed something in me. It gave me a realization that He isn't just a bunch of words on a page.
Mm.
He's action as well. Some people say God is we're human beings, not human doings.
Mm.
And I say, I think we're both. I don't think you can be a human being without being a human doing. I don't
Mm.
think if you put your love into action somehow, some way, whether or not that's simply saying hello to somebody, because that's so far out of your comfort zone that, just that conversation, anyway, that trip changed my life.
I'm writing something down.
Oh, okay.
Human beings.
We are human beings.
That I'm going to cherish that. That's beautiful.
Hmm.
Um, that's a nugget. That's a nugget. Thank you for that story. I'm just sitting here with the imagery and all of that story.
Hmm.
So that's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Um, oh wow. I don't. There's something I should add to it. I mean that. Let me just.
Yeah, I think that I have to say it's the first time I wrote my first worship song.
Oh, okay.
Was on the trip back. We took a bus
Yeah,
from St. Louis, Missouri to Guatemala.
that's a long trip.
Ask me if I've ever done that again. No way. But on the way back, we came along the east coast of Mexico, up
Yeah.
along the Gulf of Mexico. It was when the sun, I was awake and the sun began to rise. And I grabbed this guy's guitar and I just wrote this first very simple little praise chorus. Back then we called them praise choruses. and and uh, that sort of started my whole that whole music side for me was
Wow.
that one little moment on the road coming north. Yeah, it's very cool. It's a
That is
powerful
very cool.
trip.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Anyways, as I digest that, like that, those are one of those stories. I'm a digester, and I say that because it's just how God made me. That when I, even when it comes to movies,
Mm.
I let the credits roll because I just want to be able to sit in what the characters were feeling, just sit in
Ah,
what everybody
huh.
reflect on what they went through, because it is every story is an insight to who we are as people and lessons at the same time. And so your story, it was not long, but it was very insightful as who we are as people and and the lesson of what we should be doing as God's children and disciples.
Yeah.
So that's very beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a, yeah.
So one of the this is for me, because this is something that I'm going through, but it's not a minority. We all go through this, and which is a part of your story in which you wrote. Throughout my life, my journey has been about listening intently to God's voice and following His guidance as best as I possibly can. And for you and your journey, how does God talk to you,
Mm,
communicate to you? I find the word intently
mm.
a very powerful word in that sentence.
Yeah. Another word for that is purpose,
Mm,
purposefully. You know, it's it's making the choice to listen
mm, mm,
intently. To me also could it for me is I'm making a choice to listen, I'm making a choice to learn, and
mm.
that's process, that's
Yeah.
time, you know. But it's you get your first understanding of his voice is how he speaks to each individual. I don't think he, you know, can say, well, he only speaks through the Bible. Well, yeah, that's a big book. So, yeah, he does speak through the Bible. But are you trying to tell me that when you didn't know the Bible? So,
Mm,
what it always says to me is, how did you come to Christ if you didn't know the Bible and didn't read it every day? How did you know? You heard somebody talk about him, but it was always something internal. There was always something you had to come to Christ because of something. I mean, it's not a head knowledge; it's a heart. It's a heart, right? I mean, to
mhm,
me, to come to Christ is it's internal. It's deep. It's within you. Um, you know, that's Romans. That He's planted that in everyone. Everyone knows that God exists. Everyone. It, according to Paul in Romans, everyone knows that God exists, but we choose not to believe.
yeah.
And so he's made a way to himself. And I think for me, intently is it's been an ongoing um, struggle at times, battle, but also an ongoing desire to keep after hearing and knowing him. And how do I hear him? Well, scriptures is one.
Mm,
Um, you know, uh, what's it called? lecto divino. Is it called lecto divino? Where you sort of, do you know what I mean?
No,
Uh,
that's a new term for me.
yeah. Lecto divino, it's basically a study, or when your heart, in that moment when you go, you're reading a passage of scripture and a phrase or a word just you might read right past it. You know what I'm saying? But you go, ooh, what? And then you keep reading.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Stop. Don't go on. Don't
yeah.
go on, because you have to go back to that phrase or that word and go, okay, Lord, there's something in this you have for me in this moment.
Mm,
That's a powerful way to hear God to me, is because he's taken his word, he's taken that scripture, and he's pinpointing something in that moment that I need to hear, we need to hear. And so I go back into that word, back into that phrase, and I could be on that for days.
mm.
It's like, okay. And that is obviously one way to hear God. There's many ways, but I think um, here's a classic way of hearing God to me. Um, my daughter came to me when she met her husband to be. She had dated other guys, but this time she came to me and she said, Dad, how do you know if it's the right
Mm.
thing? How do you know? And I said, you know that you know that you know. There's just something in there that you can't do a pros and cons list on it. You can't go, well, he's good at this and he's not so good at this. He's good at this, and the pros outweigh the cons. That's a soulish mentality. That's a mental that's a mental game you're going to run into problems with, I think. But when you go and you talk to people afterwards, and you go, how did you know? And she would say, I just knew. And
Mm.
that's, to me, there are things that God speaks into our life that we can't make up. There's thoughts that we have, right? That we can't make up. We weren't thinking about them. We weren't trying to think about them. They just come into our mind, our spirit, and we go, "Oh, what was that?" And spend time on that. Dig into the scripture on that. Dig into whatever. Get other people's input on it, because I think a lot of times we just know things because he's I don't think God is dead. I don't think he stopped speaking. I believe he still speaks to us. I don't think his voice is I don't think he's muted. He's not a mute. He has a voice, and um, obviously a big way of knowing that is that you just know that you know, and yeah. So yeah,
Wow. I
you like
have
that?
I did.
You like the guy whistling in the background?
Oh,
Is that
that no, that was sirens.
Oh, from
Yeah,
this side, it just sounds
yeah.
like somebody's whistling.
That's why I
And
was
so,
like, "Oh, let me put this mic on," 'cause I was so focused, and then because my window's open,
yeah, yeah,
air
yeah.
to come in.
No, I
Yeah,
love
those
it.
were
I
sirens.
I love it. That's real stuff right there.
It is.
Do you ever feel
Oh,
that way? Don't you just, things? You just, and you go, where'd that come from?
yes.
And you
Yes.
s- and you start to doubt it almost.
Yes, and, I am in the beginning of the understanding of how God communicates, and you're right. God has communicated with me long before, but I never now that I am in this stage with my relationship with him, I am understanding how he communicated all those years ago
Yeah.
without really knowing that he was communicating in the beginning. And we are in this leg of this relationship where I'm finally starting to get it. A little slow.
I always say it takes me 3 times to finally figure it out, and I can't put years on that. I can only put, say, mm, don't have it yet.
A little
Yeah.
slow at the
Oh,
get up, and I still stumble,
mm,
but I am understanding um, when he's speaking. God is very interesting, and
mm,
in the sense where because he asks us to test spirits.
yeah, yeah,
He
absolutely.
allows us to do that. And what I have learned for myself is God is very quiet. He
Mm,
is not loud. He is not overbearing,
right.
as Satan can be at times loud, and he can be overbearing, and he could try and, um,
Okay, hold
oh,
on.
yeah,
I apologize.
no,
I
you're
ju-
okay.
I realized I had not plugged my computer in, and it's crying to me.
Oh,
It's crying. Help me.
it's saying, listen to me.
I
Listen
so
to me.
apologize. That was really good. Keep going, please.
It's
Don't.
okay. The computer was like, listen to me. I need power now.
I need it now, not later. Goodbye, Ashley.
That's one way God can talk to you.
That's
But anyways, but Satan can be loud, he
mm,
can be overbearing, and he can cause confusion. But when God speaks, I wouldn't say it's a whisper, but it's almost quiet because sometimes you get a question like, is this my thoughts? Is this the spirit? Like, where is
yeah.
this coming from?
It's that maybe quiet. It's more soft,
Yes, that's a
or
better word.
maybe
Yes,
even still.
yes.
It's a still small voice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That still small voice. It's not. Um, I think that's an incredible lesson because
yes.
we lived in Texas for a time and had some property, and because I traveled so much, when I would come home, I loved just working on this property. It was my In fact, I had a good friend. He said, what's great about having your own property and a garden?
Mm,
Carrots don't talk back. And, you don't have, if you deal with people, which you do, sometimes you need carrots. That- and I was out and I was just working the property, and I had a mower going, and there was a lot of noise. And in that moment, that small, still, gentle
mm,
voice I could hear so clearly in my spirit, in my mind, it was there. And I thought, even in the busiest of places,
yeah,
it penetrates the noise. God's voice in the stillness penetrates the noise. It
yes.
pushes through that. And that to me is such a huge way of knowing how he uh, how he speaks. I
Yeah.
hope I'm doing fine here.
Oh, no.
That it 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 that's how we often can know, is because it brings peace to us. So when you
Mm,
hear something, right? You're hearing something. You don't know, is that God? Is that me?
mm,
If you back away from it and go, where's my peace?
mm,
And if it's disturbing the spirit in the
mm.
sense of disruption. Now, God can disrupt.
Yeah. Look at Job. Yep.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, but
Yep.
he can disrupt. But at the same time, there's peace within the disruption.
Mm,
There's a peace within that disruption that only you just know that you know.
yes.
right? You know that you know, oh, that's there's even within that, there's just it's not that angst. There's no angst in it. It's just disruption, and you go, but there's peace in this disruption. Or there's all this noise happening around me, and I hear that peaceful voice, and I'm going, uh, that's dad. That's dad. Yeah.
And I think that's what makes God so great, um, because he doesn't need to be boisterous, even though he can be.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be loud, even though he has every power to be.
Yeah.
And I think, and then also too, um, if it almost, um, and correct me if I'm wrong, for us to choose our free will, because he isn't loud and boisterous, like even though we're supposed to fear God, he allows us to choose that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he
Yeah.
allows us to choose that.
That free will is my goodness, absolutely.
Right.
And what did you
Because he
just
has
say?
every right.
Oh,
You're out there mowing, doing your thing. He has every right. Be like, look,
yeah,
I need you.
to wake
Turn off
up.
that mower.
That's
Let me
right.
talk to you.
And and yes, he has every right. Absolutely, every right.
But
He's 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 not uh, he's not demanding it. He's not dictating it to us.
yes,
He's offering it to us.
yes,
And again, that's a dad. That's what a dad should do. I mean, we're weak as human dads. You know, we have our faults, but so if you look at a human father for what you expect a good dad to be, you're probably going to run into some issues. But looking at our heavenly Father and going, there's absolutely all power, all authority, and
mm,
yet He's totally given me freedom to run with what what I know to do at this moment. And that's why I put that in there, to do it the best I can in this moment. That's all we can do.
yeah,
It's not, I, I've heard people say we're working towards perfection. I don't know if we reach perfection. I don't know that my life on earth is going to reach perfection. I'm working towards his perfection. Otherwise, for me, that's
mhm,
knowing and following after him, being grounded in him, knowing that he's there and that I get to see a bigger vision and uh, um, a bigger revelation of who God is. And that draws me closer into that place of perfection that one day, however, whether it's through a veil that we go, or it's into a heaven, or however all that works. There's many different theories. In America, we have one theory, and that is everybody goes up to heaven. And yet there's other that you can argue that you go through a veil and it's just simply on the other side of a veil. Okay.
mhm,
It doesn't matter to me. It's moving towards that perfection. And we take that word perfection as I must be perfect.
mm,
And therefore, that's my goal, is to be perfect. That weight, I don't think the Father ever asked me to carry that kind of weight, because I don't think I can carry perfection. I don't have it in me to carry perfection. What I do have is the ability to keep hearing that voice and learning. It's the sheep and the shepherd. It's right. I mean, it's the sheep know his voice, and so they come to that voice. And have you heard the story? I got a million of them. uh, that they're called bummer lambs. Have you ever heard of this? I
No.
just heard about this recently, and it's so cool. Bummer lambs are ones that have been separated from their mother, and so they have not nursed on the mother, and they've been nursed by a human, by the shepherd or shepherdess. They've been nursed by that person. And then they're let back into the flock. And when the shepherd calls, it's always the bummer lambs who come first because they're the ones that have been closest to that voice. They've been held in the arm and fed by hand. And that's the image. We're all a bunch of bummer lambs
Mm.
that just want to get to know his voice better. And that's process. I get to know his voice better tomorrow than I do today. Isn't that awesome? That means his voice is huge.
Your stories, your wisdom.
Oh, thank you. uh,
The last story, I was like, oh, Jesus, I'm being fed today. No point in me going to Bible study. Guys, I'm good.
no, you
Good
got a
for the
Bible
week.
study.
I'm good for the week. Don't need to go next Sunday. I'm good. I'm good. I have been fed immensely.
Uh, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
so your podcast, you have one yourself, the
I
Pop-Up Cafe.
Pop up
That is
cafe.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Very intimate.
it's actually I made a decision with the Lord to get off the road this year. The first time in 40 years that I have not traveled outside of COVID. COVID, we couldn't travel, but I had a podcast back then. Um, but I asked if we could do something different, and that is it's live with an audience.
Yeah.
So I do it at a place called the Library at Journey Coffee in downtown Vacaville, where I live, where I'm from, Vacaville, California. And we do it once a month. I record it once a month, and it's with an audience. And so we talk about these kinds of different topics, different guests, and um, yeah, it's just starting. That one's a new pop-up cafe is a new one. Uh, yeah, so because it's a new season for me. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll put my brain went flat, the website
Oh,
for
thank you.
those, because to be able to buy them a coffee, if you
Yeah,
guys are
there you go. Thank you. Thank you.
if you're feeling it, buy
Yeah,
somebody a coffee.
yeah. That's what. Yeah, and buy you a coffee.
Right?
You're awesome.
Oh my goodness. We have filled the time um, with this hour. And I just want to say before we sign off that I am blessed and I
Mm,
am grateful to have this conversation with you today.
yeah.
I have been filled
Mm,
with wisdom, and I feel like I'm not done. I think when I go back, it's like what you said. It's almost like scripture or like a sermon. Sometimes you get something
yeah.
from the sermon, as you should, but sometimes when you go back, it's
Mm,
almost like a garden.
yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you see a
Yeah. Yeah.
bird in a tree that you just didn't see before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just poke it out. You'd be like, oh, that was there. Where did I see
Yeah.
him?
That's cool. That's cool.
So I am so grateful for you today and what you gave. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Ashley, it's been a real joy. Your spirit is very light and refreshing, and I love that. It's very easy just to step into my stories, and at the same time, you were you were you are really good at leading me to that place as well and
Oh,
opening that door. And that for someone, to come on and do that, that's a real gift, a real skill. And you can tell that you have a real heart for people that um, wow, those students must really be blessed by you, whether they show it or not. Is not the point. It's not the point. They're, remember, they're in their 20s.
they definitely drifted away. There's some that definitely drifted
That's exactly
away.
back to square one. So thanks very much.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
I've had a blast.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Black sheeps, um, disciples of Christ. Thank you so much, and I really want us to have this conversation again because
Oh, cool.
I feel you have so many nuggets in there. I want to be digging for gold, and I
Okay.
want to come out spiritually wealthy. Okay.
Oh, wow. Hey, I'll give you what I got from there. maybe
Oh,
maybe pan out the tin and take the gold. Yeah, yeah.
oh.
So very cool. Very cool.
Well,
Thank you.
guys,
Yeah,
see you next time.
thanks.